What is up, everyone? Welcome to Thinking Out Loud with your hosts, Vonnie Herrera and Tammy Dicehart. We are the co-founders of Think3D, and we are excited because, as you can clearly see, we are in a different space in which you have seen us before.
Yep.
We are really pumped for this. We'd like to welcome you to Think3r Networks. This is one of the things that we've been working on for a while, which is this small studio space that we have developed in order for us to be able to develop higher forms of content for you, both in trainings and in just things that we are working on within the community. But we really wanted to get into the ability to create great content and develop our own narrative. And so we're going to talk to you about that a little bit. And then we have some updates for you as far as the Bridging the Gap Fund. You for sure have heard us talk about that by now, but super excited. Think3r Networks, why do you feel like it was something important for us to do?
Well, I think a lot of times we think about what is the narrative within this space, that story that's getting told, or that space where people are putting out content controls the narrative of what's happening. And here in Sioux Falls, we have a lot of great thinking folks and thought leaders who have great ideas, and just for us to be able to put out great content to really help people advance forward and do it at a space where we're not limited by availability. So that's a big thing for me.
So it's great. So there's a couple things that'll be coming out of here. First of all, we'll be producing genuine shows, right? That'll give you a little bit more of an idea of how people think and how to have conversations. So there'll be some conversation-based shows you're going to see come from us, because that's the one thing that we think is vitally important, is us having real, genuine conversations with each other. And so we're going to be promoting that piece of it. The other thing that you're going to see is a different level of trainings for us. It's going to be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting. Obviously, as we know, the world is turning more towards web and virtual trainings. We'll be able to support a bit of that. And then you'll also see us produce content from other people as well. So we'll be helping people in the community produce their content, even some people in our building here at 8th and Railroad. So we're super excited about that, because not only do we want to be able to create our narrative and tell our story, but we want to be able to help others do the same thing.
Yeah, it's a good time to be in this space. Obviously, we see the growth. We see it's not going away anytime soon. And really, how do we not only just catch up, but again, to help show Sioux Falls, the Midwest, again, to go off of your brand, flyover country, put that onto the map of saying, this is where it's at. We have some phenomenal people, especially in Sioux Falls. We have, we keep making these lists of top places to live, and we want to showcase why that is, not only for obviously here, but broadcast that out to Texas and the coasts and all those places to say, here, right here in the heartland of the Midwest, we have some great things happening, to be able to pump that out. And again, just to have that confidence in ourselves to say, we have so many great things happening, but if we're not seeing it consistently, if we're not realizing how much we have good going on here, let's promote that, because minus January, February, and the weather, phenomenal place. Yeah. And all these different things that is things that are happening in our city right now, in our town, in our community, that is exciting to be a part of.
For sure. We want to elevate it. We want to raise it up, and we want to make sure that we are increasing the overall self-esteem of our community, because we're happy to be here. We're happy to pour into our community, and we want people to know what we stand for and what our perspective is. So look forward to that. We're going to be doing a little tour snippet in here, so you'll do a quick little run through for you guys to be able to see what we're doing in here. That way you can see how it looks. It's always going to be in flux, changing, moving around as we do different sets and different looks and that type of thing. But make sure you look forward to all of this content that we have.
Follow, subscribe, be a part of this movement, because it's going to be some great things happening.
Super excited about it. Now, the other thing that we're really excited about, and probably what is even the bigger thing, it is our Bridging the Gap Fund, in partnership with the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation, supporting our Leaders of Tomorrow program, as well as some other pillars that are really important to what we're trying to do in terms of improving the community and pulling the higher quality of leader in our community. So I'll let Tammy explain the Bridging the Gap Fund to you a little bit, and then we'll give you a little backstory in terms of what we're trying to accomplish with it.
Yeah, so we had some conversations. Obviously, we see what's happening in the world. We see what's happening right now across the country, and we wanted to be very determinative of saying, what is our story? How are we controlling the narrative of what's happening here, and not associating ourselves with what's happening outside of these walls? And so there's really 4 pillars. I'll just high level to them. It's the how are we advocating within the workplace? We have a 40% diversity coming out of our school system, and we have thousands of folks moving to our community every single year. Mm-hmm. If we are not intentional about making sure our businesses and our organizations are well prepared to not only just accept them and include them, but also help them thrive and succeed. Yeah. As you say all the time, when you compare us to a Minneapolis, we're not different or special. We're early if we're not intentional on the front end, because we can imagine 100,000 more people over the next 15, 20 years. If we don't address some of these gaps that are out there, it's important that we are proactive in that space. And so really uplifting pathways to inclusion in equitable workplaces. Folks in that organization have been doing a phenomenal job providing education. Second pillar, community engagement. We want to see more activities, more events happening that really promote unity. Mm-hmm. That one mindset, or that one Sioux Falls, if you would, of what is the identity of Sioux Falls. Because the reality is, when we talk about diversity, oftentimes it's around the differences first, when right. No matter what color, whatever, what religion, whatever, wherever you're born, we have way more in common than we have different. We want a thriving community. We want a safe community. Mm. You want one that is just open for all. And so we have way more in common than we have different. So how do we help prop that up? And in doing so, also focusing on, the neighborhoods or underserved populations or areas of our city, because we're thriving in a lot of ways, a lot of areas, but making sure that no area is left behind, because if we do so, we cannot brag about being the best until we address those and help them come along with the growth. Third pillar is storytelling. So again, this content coming out, we have just a huge pool of folks who are talented in the space of storytelling, documentaries. We want to get these stories out there. So we're going to be engaging with quite a few folks to how do we help tell the stories, the narrative of what has happened, what is, but most importantly, documenting what is happening. The movement will be televised. Yeah. Bottom line of it will be televised. And then last but not least, mentorship and leadership development. Obviously, the area that we're most passionate about. We have put a lot of commitment, time, energy, and effort into this space of saying we're committed to help this community grow in leadership and mentorship in all aspects to make sure that we are prepared not only today, but more importantly, as we think forward to the future.
And so that's important to realize, the bulk of the funds will go towards furthering, the leadership work that we have been doing for some years. But we also know that these other elements of advocacy, community engagement, and storytelling, telling the narrative of what's happening here in our environment, are vital to our ability to be able to take it to the next level. And I think a lot of times when people think about the things that have been happening in our country or that are happening in our very own community, we operate from the space of what it has been versus what it will or can be. The idea that things are not bad enough to do something. And that's just not the case, because again, we're early. And so we have to be in a situation where we're always trying to get better, because if you're not getting better, you're trying to get worse. And we want this community to get better, not because we think less of it, but because we think more of it. So I know there's a lot that we can do. So super excited to bring this to you. You can learn more about the fund on our website, Think3D.com. You can also go to the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation website if you want to learn more there, and if you want to contribute. We hope that if you see the value in this, you would be willing to contribute. Also, we're going to be having more leadership development programs, or our Leaders Tomorrow program, coming in future cohorts. So make sure you're looking out for the application if you should want to be a part of that program, because we want to make sure that that's diversified and everybody has access to that, because we think leadership should be democratized, and we want people to have that.
Yeah, and I just want to challenge all of us. I mean, and this includes us. I mean, obviously, we're doing a lot of work in the space of advocating for this broader perspective, but this is a community initiative.
Right.
I mean, the bottom line, it's a community initiative that's going to require a lot of effort, and we have a big goal of raising funds, but there's way more than just the funds of it. It's also hands. When we talk about getting into the communities and going into the neighborhoods, we're going to need volunteers, we're going to need mentors, we're going to need these folks that we have I think 12 Title IX schools that these are young kids who, especially now that we're dealing with this COVID situation, I've been talking to a few different principals, like all of us parents. I got my couple girls at home, and we feel the stress of that. The stress and the strain on the school system and through this process is huge. And we all have probably heard the data, if a child falls behind in reading by the third grade, just exponentially, it's so hard to catch up, and you can almost not write them off, but you can see a clear different path in front of them. And so that's one of the things when we talk about, especially the community engagement part of this, we need folks that are willing to help step up and say, how do we help change the narrative within many of our neighborhoods, which will be focusing around, we want to kind of go into a few different neighborhoods around a school system, but we'll need folks to participate. And I would even challenge all of you, check with your employers. If your employers are saying, how can we help? This is a space. Sign up. We actually still have the howcanihelpsf.com. Sign up there just to get your name on a list. We're going to be sending out things, but we definitely need, monetary support. So again, you can give any amount, just to kind of give a picture to it. Again, our Leaders of Tomorrow classes are about 25 per. So again, we're looking for businesses to sponsor a class, which will be $25,000 for an entire cohort, because again, we know that we build out these leaders for our community. It changes that dynamic of the entire community. And so reinforcements is one of the things that we need. We say all the time, the price of an opinion is participation. Yep. And so we're not short on opinions. We can go on social media and you see the abundance of opinions, but now it's time to show up with an abundance of participation.
Yeah, so we need it all. Well, that's where we're going to leave you for today, just to give you a little update. So again, welcome to Think3r Networks. You're going to see a lot of great content coming from us, and make sure you educate yourself on what's happening with the Bridging the Gap Fund. But just like always, you can look forward to content from us on all of our socials, Think3D Solutions, and you can find out more at letsthink3d.com. Until next time, thanks.
See you guys.